This is the supreme leader of Iran, an enigmatic figure who wields tremendous power behind the scenes. Let's delve into his background, ideology, and the controversies that surround him. Ali Hossein Khamenei was born on July 1939 in the city of Mashhad, Iran. His family had a modest background, and his father worked as a grocer. Despite coming from humble beginnings, Khamenei's intellectual abilities were evident from an early age, and he pursued religious studies. He dedicated himself to becoming a cleric, and spent years in theological seminaries across Iran. In 1957, at the age of 18, he moved to the holy city of Qom, considered the center of Shiite Islam. There he immersed himself in religious texts, Islamic law, and theology. Khomeini's commitment to his studies was exceptional, and he quickly gained recognition among the clergy. He earned the title of Hojjatul Islam, a respected designation given to those who have completed advanced theological studies. But his journey to becoming a prominent figure took another turn, when he became acquainted with a revolutionary cleric named Ruhollah Khomeini. Under Khomeini's mentorship, Khomeini became involved in political activities aimed at opposing the Shah's regime, the last monarchical government in Iran. The Shah, Mohammad Pahlavi, had been ruling Iran with an iron fist, and his close ties with the United States made him unpopular among many Iranians who saw the regime as a puppet of Western influence. Khomeini embraced the concept of Velayat-e-Faqih, meaning the guardianship of the jurisprudent, a political doctrine that calls for a supreme religious leader to guide the nation and ensure it adheres to Islamic principles. This doctrine would become the foundation of the Islamic Republic. During the Iranian Revolution of 1979, which ultimately led to the Shah's downfall and the establishment of the Islamic Republic, Khomeini played an active role in mobilizing public support. His skills as an orator and his association with the charismatic Khomeini helped spread revolutionary fervor among the masses. With the revolution successful and the Islamic Republic established, Khomeini assumed the role of supreme leader, and Khomeini became his representative in the newly created Ministry of Guidance. In this role, Khomeini oversaw the cultural and media affairs of the country, ensuring they aligned with the principles of the Islamic Revolution. This marked the beginning of Khomeini's ascent to power. However, his path to the supreme leadership was not without challenges. In 1981, when Khomeini appointed him as president of Iran, Khomeini faced a boycott by leftist opposition groups who accused him of being a U.S. stooge. Despite these challenges, Khomeini won the election, securing 66% of the vote. During his 8-year presidency, he navigated complex internal and external challenges. The presidency came with its share of difficulties. Iran was engaged in the Iran-Iraq War. The legacy of the Shah's regime still posed issues, and there were ongoing conflicts with various opposition groups. Nevertheless, Khomeini demonstrated his ability to handle these challenges, showcasing the qualities that would later lead to his rise as the supreme leader. His presidency ended in 1989 when Khomeini passed away. The death of Khomeini left a power vacuum, and the process of selecting a successor began. Ultimately, the Assembly of Experts, a body responsible for appointing and overseeing the supreme leader, chose Khomeini. This decision was influenced by Khomeini's own preference and his recommendation of Khomeini as his successor. It was a pivotal moment as Khomeini stepped into one of the most powerful and influential positions in the Islamic world. As the supreme leader, he is the highest authority in Iran. His powers are extensive, encompassing control over the armed forces, the judiciary, state media, and key areas of national policy. This includes the right to appoint senior government officials, shape foreign relations, and set the direction of the country's nuclear program. In essence, Khomeini holds the ultimate decision-making authority in all matters concerning Iran. One of the institutions he has major influence over is Iran's Guardian Council, a body with significant powers over the nation's affairs. The Guardian Council, also known as the Shura-e-Mostazarin Islami, plays a crucial role in vetting candidates for elections, ensuring that only those who align with the principles of the Islamic Revolution are allowed to run. This effectively gives the council the power to shape the political landscape of Iran by deciding who can and cannot participate in political processes. Furthermore, the Guardian Council has the authority to review and approve or reject laws passed by Iran's parliament, giving them considerable influence over the legislative process. This power to scrutinize and shape both the candidate pool and the laws passed by elected officials underscores the council. As importance in maintaining the ideological purity of the Islamic Republic, Khamenei, through his position as supreme leader, handpicks members of the Guardian Council, ensuring it remains a body that upholds his conservative and strict interpretation of Islamic principles. Despite facing criticism from some within Iran for perceived authoritarian tendencies and human rights issues, Khamenei remains a towering figure in Iranian politics. His leadership has been particularly evident during times of crisis, and his supporters view him as a strong and unwavering leader who protects the interests of Iran. One of the most contentious aspects of his leadership has been his stance on the West, particularly the United States and Israel. Throughout his tenure, he has been a vocal critic of Western influence in the region and beyond. Khamenei's anti-Americanism stems from his belief that the U.S. seeks to undermine the independence and sovereignty of nations, particularly those in the Middle East. He views the U.S. as a symbol of an unjust global order and a force that oppresses the aspirations of nations like Iran. Similarly, Khamenei's animosity towards Israel is rooted in his support for the Palestinian cause and his opposition to what he sees as Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory. For him, Israel's existence represents a form of Western imperialism in the heart of the Middle East. Khamenei has often used his considerable influence to promote resistance against what he perceives as Western aggression, and has been a strong backer of groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine. These groups have been engaged in protracted conflicts with Israel, and Khamenei's support has bolstered their ability to resist Israeli military might. By portraying himself as a champion of resistance against Western powers, Khamenei has solidified his image as a defiant leader, willing to stand up against what he sees as global injustice. While his views on the West have been a constant throughout his leadership, Khamenei's approach to internal politics within Iran has evolved over time. Initially, he pursued a policy of gradual reform, seeking to address some of the social and economic issues facing the country. However, as he faced growing opposition, particularly from reformist elements, Khamenei adopted a more conservative approach. He has been a strong critic of what he sees as Western cultural influences and has sought to protect traditional Islamic values. This has manifested itself in policies aimed at curbing personal freedoms, such as restrictions on music, dress, and the arts. Supporters of Khamenei argue that these policies are necessary to preserve the religious fabric of Iranian society, while critics view them as an attempt to stifle individual liberties. In recent years, Khamenei has increasingly portrayed himself as the defender of the Islamic Revolution and the protector of the values it espoused. He has emphasized the need for strict adherence to Islamic principles and has called for a rejection of what he sees as Western decadence. As the supreme leader, Khamenei is entitled to certain privileges and a lavish lifestyle. Despite this, he is known for living a relatively modest life compared to some of his predecessors. While he resides in a grand complex in Tehran, he is said to drive ordinary cars and generally avoids the ostentatious display of wealth. Nonetheless, he is often chauffeured around in luxury vehicles, including Mercedes S600s, which are part of a secretive fleet of over 200 luxury cars maintained by the Iranian government for the use of high-ranking officials. It is important to note that the level of opulence surrounding Khamenei is much lower compared to some of his counterparts in the Middle East. For example, unlike some Arab leaders, he does not possess a personal jet or maintain extravagant palaces across the country. It's important to recognize that despite his immense power and influence, Khamenei is a highly controversial figure. His leadership style has been criticized as autocratic in his policies, have been accused of stifling human rights and personal freedoms. During the mass protests that shook Iran in 2019, Khamenei's government faced intense scrutiny over its handling of the unrest. The violent crackdown on protesters and the subsequent internet shutdown drew international condemnation. Critics both inside and outside Iran accused Khamenei's regime of heavy-handedness and brutality in dealing with dissent. The events raised questions about the level of power and autonomy Khamenei's regime wields, and the extent to which it is willing to go to maintain control. These controversies have only intensified the debate surrounding Khamenei's leadership and legacy. Some view him as a strong and unwavering leader, who has guided Iran through turbulent times, while others see him as an oppressive ruler who has curtailed civil liberties and steered the country towards confrontation with the West. As the supreme leader of Iran, Khamenei continues to hold immense power and influence both domestically and on the international stage. His decisions shape the course of Iranian politics, foreign policy, and the lives of millions of people. Whether he is seen as a champion of the Islamic Revolution or an oppressive ruler depends largely on one's perspective and political views. Regardless, there is no denying that Ayatollah Ali Hosseini Khomeini is a dominant figure in contemporary Iranian history.